Unit 2, we're talking about aspect ratios, and in this section we're talking about changing tires and how changing from one size tire to another size tire actually affects gas mileage, speed, etc. And so we take this index here with all the information about the tire and we calculate things like width, height, diameter, and circumference because we want to see how far that tire travels, so we talk about circumference. We want to find the constant of proportionality between two tires, so we need either the diameter or the circumference. And then also we have here that the tire width is given to us in millimeters, and we want to eventually convert to inches. Now, I don't necessarily know if there's that much of a difference in trying to convert between millimeters to inches, but maybe it just reinforces, the TEK that talks about unit conversions or being able to do things proportionally. So one piece of information that you're going to want to make sure you have is that 25.4 millimeters is equal to 1 inch. And so you have that ratio there. And then we talk about this index here, this information. We have P245, 75, R15. P stands for passenger tire. 245 is the width in millimeters. 75 is the aspect ratio as a percent of width, of height to width, not width to height. It's height to width, which is a little bit backwards than the aspect ratios in the media. R stands for radial, and then 15 is the the wheel diameter. So here we're given the aspect ratio and the width. So we have 245 millimeters for the width, and we have 75% aspect ratio of height to width. Now, one thing that is consistent is width is the larger measurement because the height is 75% of the width. That means the height is going to be a smaller measurement. So whenever we calculate this, we have 75%, so we do 0.75 times 245 millimeters. And then we need to divide by 25.4 because we want to change height, diameter, and circumference into inches. So we're going to divide by 25.4. This process right here is a constant process for every chart they give you. And then whenever you calculate that, you have your diameter. Your diameter is your tire height times 2. So we're going to take whatever we get for tire height times 2, and then we're going to add the rim diameter, which in this case is 15. And then circumference is just the diameter times pi. And so I'm going to take just a few seconds here and I'm going to calculate this information. And so here we have the tire height is 7.23 inches, the diameter is 29.46 inches, and the circumference is 92.5. You also want to stress that whenever students do it differently, more advanced students might put the pi symbol in the calculator, and that's going to give them a slightly different answer other than 92.5. I used 3.14 as an estimate just to get a quick calculation here for the circumference. Now that we've calculated the tire information, the width, height, diameter, and circumference, now we want to start comparing tires, and we want to find a constant of proportionality to be able to determine what happens when we go from a factory installed to a new tire. Now, if that new tire is bigger, our constant of proportionality is actually a little bit bigger than 1, which means our speed and our distance is going to increase, which also means gas mileage is going to get better. And you'll have a long discussion with your students. Gas mileage increases whenever you put a bigger tire on, but it doesn't increase whenever you put the gigantic monster tires on there, because at that point in time you're talking about weight and a different type of force affecting the car. But if you go to a discount tire and you take the tire they give you and slightly bigger than the tire you originally had, you're going to get better gas mileage for your car. It works exactly the same in the opposite direction. You put a smaller tire than what's factory installed, your gas mileage will decrease. The speed you travel will be slower than what it shows, and the distance you travel will be less than what is calibrated to your car. Of course, that discussion also starts to go into, you can take your car into a professional and have them recalibrate to your tires so the speed you travel is the speed showing on the speedometer, etc. So the constant of proportionality here is the circumference of the new tire divided by the circumference of the old tire. The packet, the information they give you from the Dana Center says the circumference of the larger tire divided by the circumference of the factory installed. Okay, so if you want to go to a smaller tire, if you want to extend this topic, then I suggest you talk about this, the new tire versus the original or the old tire. And then whenever you're trying to calculate your actual speed, your speedometer is going to say 60 miles per hour. However, whenever you change those tires, unless you recalibrate your diagnostics in your car, you're going to have to take this constant of proportionality times whatever the reading is. So if your car reads 60 miles per hour on the speedometer, your actual speed is 60 times whatever this constant of proportionality is. Your distance you traveled on the odometer, how many miles you traveled since you changed your tires. Let's say you traveled 15,000 miles. Depending on the size tire, you've actually traveled 15 times whatever this constant of proportionality is.